Toronto Maple Leafs have officially fired Sheldon Keefe as their head coach. He is out before his 2-year extension kicks in, Frank. So he's going to be getting paid for a little bit here. But you got to look at on the screen here at his record. Like, the regular season numbers are unbelievable. This is purely because he can't and the team can't get through in the playoffs. Simple as that, right?
Simple as that. And I think not just impossible to ignore, but I think a necessary change. And, one of the things that I've been talking about the last few days since the Toronto Maple Leafs exit in Game 7 against the Bruins has been, there's something, an attitude that kind of permeates this team that I think starts at the very top in the organization and goes to the bottom. That includes paranoia, that includes, succumbing to pressure, or at least publicly acknowledging pressure. Sheldon Keefe had about 8 missteps in the last 2 months when it comes to things that he said, that it almost felt like he knew that this was a potential inevitability if the Leafs lost again in the first round. I think he was wearing it. And I think it also seeps through the rest of your team when you walk around like a ball of stress, when you say things like Austin Matthews chasing 70 goals is a, quote, major distraction. Like, I'm not harping on his press conferences and saying that's a reason why they lost, but I think your team feeds off of that energy. They feed off of that nervousness, that if you already have pressure, or if you think there's a ton of eyeballs on you, you are what your coach is, what he feels like. And I think it's been abundantly obvious what he's been feeling the last number of months as Toronto Maple Leafs head coach.
Yeah, I think what popped into my head as you read out the line again of, Austin Matthews 70 goals being a distraction. It felt like at times this season, Keefe was almost the distraction in that market. And sometimes that's good for a coach to take heat off his team and be the guy who takes the bullets a little bit. But it felt like a bit much at times. Some of the press conferences were weird, including his last one after they were eliminated. When you look at some of the available coaches out there, obviously a lot of chatter. I think Leafs fans, to an extent, are clamoring for Craig Berube. I think that's the guy the market kind of wants. Are they going to get him, though, Frank?
Not a guarantee. I think, look, there's been a process to this point where the New Jersey Devils have been interviewing a few candidates. I think they're down to a small group of finalists. This Toronto decision to actually formally fire Sheldon Keefe and open up their coaching search probably will, put the pedal to the floor on New Jersey's decision-making process to just ensure that they get the guy that they want and are able to take him off the market. Craig Berube's on that real short list for the New Jersey Devils. I think Jay Woodcroft is there. I wouldn't be surprised if Todd McClellan is there, 2 former Oilers coaches. But what that means for the Leafs moving forward, will Craig Berube actually make it to the end of the week as a free agent? That part, I think, is less clear. And I think today is going to end up being a big day on that front based on what New Jersey does or doesn't do, and certainly could change, the list of candidates that are available to Brad Treliving and the Leafs to look through.
Yourself and Jason Gregory just wrapped up the DFO rundown a couple of minutes ago. It'll be available later on this morning for everyone to listen to. It'll be live here, or we'll put it out here on the YouTube. But you guys talked about, where does this Leafs job rank amongst the other vacancies in the league? And your answer was the Devils as number 1. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say Toronto, because not to go full Mitch Marner on you, Frank, if you do it in Toronto, they'll be building statues of you. That's got to be enticing.
That's great. And again, not to take a loser's mentality, but it's been since 1967. The odds would suggest that every guy before you has thought that they would be the guy that would get the statue built for them, and it hasn't happened. I think if you were to rank the list of most attractive jobs that are available right now, I would have New Jersey Devils 1. I would have Leafs 2, Jets 3, Kings 4, San Jose 5, and I'm missing 1, I think. I think there's 6.
Yeah, I think you guys had 6.
So
I don't doubt. I'm distracted by the chat and this thumbs up thing that keeps happening.
Yeah, well, and then apologies for that. I think it's because I'm such an I talk with my hands that I was probably generating some kind of AI gesture, which is fine. But the reason for me it's the Devils over the Leafs. I look at that back end in New Jersey and I say that maybe not next season, but Luke Hughes, Simone Nemitz, now Seamus Casey, then add in a healthy Dougie Hamilton. You're like, that's the makings of something really special. Not to mention, how far down the rung, if at all, do you place Jack Hughes in the NHL's hierarchy compared to Austin Matthews? And how much of a downgrade is Jesper Bratt from Mitch Marner, plus Nico Hischier down the middle? Like, Toronto's defense core, and this is the scariest part and about the way that they lost in round one, is they were not the problem. I think we all universally agree that Toronto's defense core is undermanned and overmatched at times, but that's not, they held their own against the Bruins. That's not the reason they lost. It's that their big guns, the so-called really attractive pieces that you're talking about, are the reason why year in and year out they've lost, and why 13 of their last 14 playoff games they've scored 2 goals or fewer.
Yeah.
What's up, hockey fans? If you enjoyed that video, then you need to be hitting the subscribe button right here at Daily Faceoff. Exclusive interviews and analysis from our hockey insider Frank Seravalli, fantasy updates from Brock Sagan, and a daily live show at noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. You don't want to miss any of the fantastic content, so hit that subscribe button.